I need to tell this story because I've been carrying it for almost 4 years, and every time I think I've made peace with it, I see a Facebook post where my mom is smiling at my brother's baby shower, and I feel that familiar burn in my chest all over again. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was the good one. You know the type. The kid who got straight A's, not because anyone pushed her, but because she genuinely believes that if she just did everything right, life would reward her. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. every day through high school. I worked a part-time job at a grocery store from the age of 16. I never got into trouble, never asked for anything extra, never threw a single tantrum. I was the kid my parents pointed to when relatives asked how they were doing. "Oh, we're fine. Cassidy is going to be a nurse, full ride almost. We've been saving since she was born." That college fund. I want you to understand what that fund meant to me. My parents weren't wealthy people. My dad drove a delivery truck for a regional logistics company. My mom worked front desk at a dental office. They weren't rolling in it, but they were consistent. They started putting money away for me when I was in diapers, or so I was told. By the time I was 17, it had grown to just over $47,000. It was sitting in an account with my name attached to it, and my dad would sometimes pull up the balance at the dinner table and show me like it was a trophy. "That's yours," he'd say, "for your future." My brother Derek is 3 years older than me. I want to be fair to him here because this story is not about hating my brother. It's about a fundamental betrayal from the people who were supposed to protect me equally. Derek was not a bad person. He was charming, funny, the kind of guy who made friends the second he walked into a room. He was also spectacularly irresponsible with money. At 20, he dropped out of community college after one semester. At 21, he got his girlfriend pregnant and they decided to keep the baby, which is fine. That's a human choice. At 22, he started a business, a food truck selling fusion tacos, which went under in 4 months. Then he tried to flip a used car. Then he got into some multi-level marketing thing that I won't name, but you already know what it was. My parents bailed him out every single time. Not lectures, not conditions, just money. And I watched this happen all through high school from a distance, telling myself it wasn't my business. Then I graduated. May of my senior year, I got into a nursing program at a state university about 2 hours from home. It was a good program, well ranked, and between scholarships and my fund, I was going to finish with minimal debt. I had it all mapped out. I had a spreadsheet. I was 18 years old and I had a spreadsheet. 2 weeks before my first tuition payment was due, my dad sat me down at the kitchen table. I knew something was wrong the second I walked in. My mom was standing near the counter with her arms crossed over her chest, not like she was cold, but like she was bracing. My dad had his hands folded on the table like he was about to conduct a business meeting. Derek was not there. Dad started talking. He used a lot of words to say a very simple thing, and I'll give you the simple version. Derek's food truck debt had caught up with him. There were loans in his name that had gone to collections. His girlfriend, they weren't together anymore by this point, was threatening legal action over child support arrangements. Derek had come to my parents in what my dad described as a genuine crisis, and they had made the decision, as a family, to help him. I sat very still and asked what that meant. My dad slid a piece of paper across the table. It was a printed bank statement. The account that had my name on it, the one with $47,000, had a current balance of $4,200. They had given Derek $43,000 of my college fund. I remember the sound the paper made when I put it back on the table. I remember the refrigerator humming. I remember my mom saying, "We're going to pay it back, Cassidy, we promise. We'll figure it out." And the words sounded like they were coming through water. I asked why no one had talked to me first. My dad said they didn't want to worry me before graduation. I asked if they understood that tuition was due in 2 weeks. My mom said I could take out loans like everyone else. She actually said those words, like everyone else, as though the entire point of the fund was specifically so I wouldn't have to do that. What happened next is the part that I'm still most ashamed of, not because I was wrong, but because I genuinely fell apart in front of them. I cried, Not soft, polite crying, but the ugly, hyperventilating kind. I told them they'd stolen from me. My dad raised his voice. He said Derek was family, and family came first, and I should be grateful they'd been saving for anyone at all. My mom cried too, and said they'd raised me to be giving, and she didn't understand why I was acting like this. Like this. Like a person whose future was just handed to someone else. I drove back to my apartment that night. I had a lease signed, I had a dorm room deposit put down at the university, and I had $4,200 and a sense of complete frail fall. I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk until 4 a.m. and I made a decision. I was not going to beg. I was not going to go back to that table and negotiate for scraps of something that had already been taken from me. I was not going to spend my college years calling home every Sunday and pretending things were fine. I called the university financial aid office when they opened. I explained my situation, not the family part, just the financial part. They walked me through emergency loan options and a work-study arrangement. I took out loans. I applied for 2 additional scholarships I hadn't bothered applying to before because I hadn't needed the money. I got one of them, $6,000, renewable yearly if I kept my GPA above a 3.5. Then I called my parents and told them I was going to school, but I had figured out the money and that I needed some time away from them. My mom asked how much time. I said I didn't know. That was almost 4 years ago. I have spoken to them a handful of times since. There was a brief, strained call at Christmas my freshman year, and a short exchange when my dad had a health scare the following spring. I did not go home. I sent a card. I know how that sounds. I know there are people reading this thinking I'm cold or extreme, or that I'll regret it. Some of you are going to tell me that parents aren't perfect, and that family is complicated, and that I should forgive and move on. I've heard it all. I've heard it from my aunt, from a childhood friend, from a well-meaning professor who I made the mistake of confiding in once after a bad week. Here's what I want to say to all of that. I did not cut off my parents because they made a mistake. I cut them off because of what they said when I confronted them about the mistake. My dad told me I should be more giving. My mom told me I was acting spoiled. Neither of them, in that conversation or any conversation after, said the words, "We were wrong." Not once. What I got instead was justification and deflection and the implication that my pain was a character flaw. Derek, as far as I know, is doing better. He has a job in sales. He sees his kid on weekends. I don't think he's a monster. I think he's a man who was never taught that there were consequences for asking too much, because every time he asked, someone handed him what he needed. And once, that someone was me, and I wasn't even asked. I am 3 weeks away from graduating with my nursing degree. I have $28,000 in student loans. I have a job offer at a hospital about 40 minutes from the apartment I share with 2 other women from my program. I have built something real from the rubble of what they left me entirely on my own. My mom sent me a card last month. It came addressed in her handwriting, rounded letters, a little heart over the I and my name like she's always done. Inside, she wrote that she was proud of me and that she hoped I knew they loved me and that she wished things had gone differently. I put it on my desk and I've read it probably 15 times. I'm not made of stone. I love my mother. I love my father. I love them the way you love something that broke you, fully and from a safe distance. But here's the thing no one tells you about being the responsible child, the good one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. Your reliability gets mistaken for resilience. People assume that because you handle things, you can handle anything. They assume that your stability is a resource they're entitled to draw from. They forget that behind the spreadsheets and the early alarms and the quiet, consistent effort, there is a person who also needed someone to show up for her. I showed up for myself. I still do, every single day. Graduation is in 3 weeks. I ordered 1 extra ticket, just one, just in case, and then I put it in a drawer, and I haven't touched it. I don't know if I'll use it. I don't know if I want to see them in the front row of something I built without them. I don't know if I'm ready for the conversation that would have to happen first. What I know is that I made it, and I made it the hard way, and no one can take that from me, because this time It's in my name and only mine.